Okay, so I've been asked a few times to review projectors since I reviewed this Ray Photo, which was pretty much a budget offering, but it was pretty decent for the price. And I've refused a lot since then, but this Yaber projector really interested me. So this is the K3. They also do a K3 Pro model, which has a separate subwoofer, because this has got a JBL sound system built into it, which is really handy for where I'm going to set it up. It's also incredibly bright at 1600 ANSI lumens. Plus it says it's quiet and also supports 7,000 plus apps. So I thought I had to test it. Especially as since that video was made, we've had an extension. So there's a white wall on the end here, but also where my office is, this is where I make all my videos. I figured I could hang up a projector screen. Now I've ordered it and it's coming on Saturday, but I thought I'd start the video and see what it works like on the plain wall before I get the screen. But ultimately I'm going to be sat in the chair watching it on the big screen. So let's open it up. I'll go through all the full specs later on in the video, but I just want to get it up and running initially. Now this is a real solid piece of kit. Also looks really premium. So we've got the JBL speakers on the front here. We've got this cover which reveals the lens. On the back we've got two HDMIs, a USB socket, headphone socket, Ethernet, and I guess that's the infrared sensor. Figure 8 mains lead on the bottom here. I can already see there's some sort of cooling in there, which is going to keep this nice and quiet. And we've got some micro switches on the top here, and it also says that it supports NFC, so wireless connectivity where you just put the device on it. I think my Samsung phone will work with that. And it is really heavy, really solid, really nice thick rubber feet as well. You can see the copper cooling inside it. Connectivity wise, just a standard HDMI cable, a standard figure 8 mains cable, and a remote control with Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime and YouTube buttons on it already. We've also got the voice control button as well, so there's a microphone built into this. And an instruction book. So initially I'm going to put it on the table in the background pointing that way, but when I get my screen, which will be hung up here, but I've got these hinges I bought, which I figured if I mount it here, I can fold them out the way when I'm not using the screen, but fold them down and have little hooks on them when I have got the screen out. And I could use my JBL speakers. I've got a subwoofer in the top here, which I could use, but we've also got the inbuilt system, which is going to be more simple. So literally just one mains cable in, and that's it. I can turn it on now, but before I do, let's just have a quick look at the ratios. So 4 meters is 150 inches, 3 meters 18 is 120 inches, 2 meters 65 is 100 inches, and it goes down to the smallest. A meter gives you a 40-inch screen. So let's switch it on. Okay, it's going to need to be higher. It does say you can raise it by 10 degrees. Looks like it's going through some sort of setup. I'm going to turn off the other lights. Oh, I can see already it looks clear. It looks really clear. But it definitely needs to go higher than that. Okay, so it set itself up. If I turn it off, I'll show you exactly what it does. In fact, I'll turn the lights on first of all. And actually, even with it light in here, it still looks really good. But if I turn it off, because it auto configures itself, and you can see I can press the button and it will shut itself down. And I'm, what, a meter away, and there's some noise, but not a lot of noise. And obviously if you're going to have a game or a film or something like that on, I don't think it'll be very noticeable at all. Okay, so it's shut itself down now. So if I switch on, this is the process of startup. So you can see the screen comes up, and then it comes up with this test panel, and then it writes itself, and then it settles. Really good. So the remote control is like most smart TVs, so whether that's Google Home or Amazon or Roku. So we've got a home button. See, I've got an auto focus button there as well, but it's already done that. Let's just press the home button. Press arrow keys or OK on projector remote to continue. There we go, and language, English. Learn to focus and correct the image. Press the autofocus and plus and minus to adjust projector focus. Auto keystone. Slightly move the device or press the autofocus button on the Yaber remote to trigger autofocus and auto keystone. And I did notice when I was moving it around and stuff, it was adjusting itself. and manual keystone. But it looks straight. If I look at it next to the radiator and also that wall, with me doing nothing, I don't think I'd pick up on that, especially when it's showing video. So it picks up my Wi-Fi, setup complete. Well, sounds reasonable. Oh, and it goes up a lot as well. So I haven't tried the NFC yet. So this is a Samsung phone. So let's pop it on top and see. Oh yeah, complete action using Samsung Internet, Chrome. So let's say Chrome. So it's asking me to install the Yaber app. So it just came up with a message on the screen saying it's disconnected. This is the Google TV screensaver, which is rather nice, especially as it gets darker. Because bearing in mind, when this is trying to show black, in this room, my wall is really quite light grey. So it can't show black on that because it's too much light in here. So I've got Dex on here. Will that work? Yeah. And start now. And the phone becomes a remote control, so I can launch the Chrome browser, and you can see it's on the Yaber page there. And I can do a search, so the keyboard comes up as well. You can use a wireless keyboard, so we do BBC, and then BBC Sport. And I have a massive web browser from a tiny little phone. Very nice. But you can also mirror an iPad as well, so if I pick the Yaber as the screen, and then pretty much all the functionality of my iPad comes up on the big screen as well. Same thing goes for my MacBook, so I can do screen mirroring on that, and the Yaber comes up. And the good thing about the MacBook is it will use that as a secondary display, so I don't have to have the same content on it. Use as extended display. So now if I open something on here, so Raspberry Pi Imager, I can drag that. I don't know if it's left or right or up or down, you've got to set it up. Oh, here we go. So if I drag it right, you can see I'm dragging it onto the big screen. But you can go into settings and you can tell it which way the displays are. So if I go display, so at the moment this is how it's set up, but I can arrange it that the projector is at the top. So that then means that if I drag something from here upwards, then it drags it onto the projector screen. And it's doing well actually, because the Wi-Fi is not that great in this room. I'm using the Wi-Fi router in my lounge, and it's actually coping with it really well. And then if I put something on here, so say for instance the web browser, all of that's working, and we've got all our dual screen set up. And I could do something similar on Linux. So if I pick cast on here using the Chrome browser, and you can see that's now casting from Linux, but this device also has Windows on it as well. So if we type in cast, we can connect to a wireless display. And you can also do the same with the Mac, where you duplicate the display like it is now, or you can do it as an extended monitor as well. So I played around with it a lot 2 evenings ago, and the Google TV operating system is excellent. Let's go through some of the specs. As you can see here, there's the K3 and the K3 Pro. So the only difference I can see is that the K3 Pro comes with a subwoofer. And it took me a while to find a picture of the subwoofer, but I did find this in their promotional details. So a wireless subwoofer, just to add a bit of extra sound to it. It's already got 15 watts. It does sound good. It sounds better than the majority of smart TVs I've heard. And you can see the amount of awards it got from IFA, so it's been very popular there. So let's look at some of the specs. So for me, the fact that it's got sound built in, but also it's not a noisy projector, is really important. I don't like noisy projectors. And also, I want something that's very easy to set up. And this, with its auto setup, is super quick to set up. And it talks about Nova Glow optical technology, and the images are very clear. You can see there's a nice close-up of the internals here, and the JBL speakers. All the auto stuff I'm really impressed with, because projectors I've had before, especially things like Keystone, so focus has never been too bad before because you're just sort of turning a dial, but even then you're never 100% if you've got it just right, whereas this really locks it in, and the auto Keystone is very, very impressive. And the alignment as well, so you know the edges go right up against my straight wall really nicely. It's got intelligent obstacle avoidance. So voice control on the remote control. Huge amount of apps, and they're talking up to 200 inches. Well, I can only get up to 111 inches in this house. So eye protection, anti-blue light coating. So up to 30,000 hours usage. Oh, there's a picture of the sub as well. I did look through and I couldn't find any, but there it is. And because your ears don't detect where low-end bass comes from, you could hide that somewhere out of the way. It doesn't need to be on a table like that. It could be underneath the table. So it supports loads of video formats. I mean, you can use VLC on there, so that supports loads as well. Probably a lot more than that. Same with audio formats. So we've got Bluetooth 5.0, Wi-Fi 6 as well, quiet mode, built-in TV dongle. It is heavy, yeah, 5.1 kilograms, but it does feel like a really nice quality unit. So the screen has arrived and the box is massive. It's going to be about right, I think. Obviously this is it box, but I wouldn't imagine it's much shorter than the box. But as you can see, lengthwise, it's pretty much as long as my cupboard. So let's unbox it and have a look. Look out. Pretty much just fits. Perfect. So the problem here is that I can't get my screwdriver in because it hits the wall. Luckily, back in the early 2000s, Sony sent me this little kit, which is a mini screwdriver. And it works. So the idea is when these aren't in use, I can fold them away. Okay, so that's the screen in place. It is massive. So Android TV as an operating system is really simple to use. And if we have a look at the specs, so this tells you what's running the Android TV. So this is a Skyworth Digital 4K Google TV stick. And the hardware is Amlogic, so they make the CPU. It's got 2 gig of RAM in it. Storage wise, we've got about 4 gig, and I've still got about 3 gig free of that. And the CPU on it is 2 gigahertz quad core, 64-bit. And it does feel nice and snappy, nice and responsive. If we go back to the home screen here, if I flick through the apps, you can see that it really does flick through them really quite quickly. If I launch YouTube. In fact, what you can do as well, if you press we won't be able to see it in this light, but the microphone button, search YouTube for Coldplay. Because there was a video I watched the other night, and it was amazing, especially on this big screen. This one. And there's bits in this video when they all have their wristbands on and it's all flashing together, and it looked incredible. I was watching it at 111 inches because I was watching it on the wall. So this screen, being a 4x3 100-inch screen, is going to be smaller than that. So it's going to be to about, it's really hard to judge, about 85 inches at the moment. Now it has let me install most of the apps I wanted. iPlayer and ITV Player don't install on it. You probably can get around it by using an APK loader, but from the Google Play Store, all of these apps installed. So Netflix, Prime Video, My5, Disney Plus, and so on. The thing is, we still have the ability to use iPlayer and ITV Player by casting it from our device. So in the case of my iPad, that's going to use Apple AirPlay. So if I pick the screen, that's going to start playing on the screen. And as you can see, it looks fine. And even works when I turn my iPad off, so it carries on playing on this.
Nice. It's not blowing me away.
And it looks stunning, and I definitely would watch box sets and movies on this. It is really bright. There are brighter settings. I mean, the settings mode is really comprehensive. So you've got Bluetooth, so you compare it to a Bluetooth speaker. We've got all sorts of options for projection, but the auto modes have worked perfectly for me, so I haven't messed about with any of that. Image mode, you can actually flick through various different things like a vivid mode, a natural mode, dynamic, and you can just play around with whichever one works best for you. I've left it on standard because it's overall pretty good, although probably for sport I might go for natural. And then sound. We've got music and movie options on here, and also user, so we can tailor it a bit. So we've got a graphic equalizer, which is nice to see. And you can do the same with the image quality as well. So you can play around with individual settings if you want to. So user mode, and we've got a lot of contrast, brightness, and so on. And if you go back from Google TV, you can always have their screensaver mode. And there's a dedicated button to take you back to this mode, which gives you the option of switching between different inputs. So you also have this mode, which I thought was interesting, which is boot source. So you can get it to boot up from any of the HDMI sockets, or boot to Android TV, or to this screen. Now probably I'd end up getting it to boot to Android TV most of all. Although you can just press the home button and it comes straight on. So I have my Xbox here, I'm going to plug that in and try it on a bit of gaming. But my HDMI cable is in here, I'm just going to have to unhook it. Okay, so let's try a bit of Forza Horizon. It's an old Xbox 360 game, but it still looks pretty good. The sound is decent. Yeah, it's lovely and smooth. So this is 1080-60. Oh yeah, it's great. It's really nice playing on this big screen. It feels like you can see so much more of the pitch.
Plenty of open space here.
It's a long ball. It's good though.
Now, this has to be.
Nice.
And another.
Yeah, that is excellent. Really, really happy with that.
Incredible.
Super immersive. And when the environments get big and zoom out, yeah, that's incredible as well. Yeah, really impressed. Oh, might have overcooked that. No, not too bad. So thanks very much to Yaber for sending me this to test. So the things I like about it is I'm stood right behind it now and it's very quiet. It's really not obtrusive at all, even though I've got no other sounds going on. And also the auto setup, the fact that you can just press that one button and it does this and it keys itself and it focuses and just sets itself up. I think that's brilliant. And also the fact that it's got decent sound built in as well. Okay, so I hope all this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.